Loud. Cool, man. So we've had you on before, but I think you provide a lot of value to like all the agents because of how like adaptable you are. Last year you wrote like 500, you did like 528 families or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the year before that you did what?
No, that was my first year last year.
But you was like in the threes, right?
No, it was like I started like as soon as I was finishing up college, like very late November.
Because oh yeah, because you went to the convention and you were like, oh, I'm gonna hit Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And so basically, we talk a lot. So you run like last year at the beginning of the year, you ran like a bunch of in-homes, internet leads, and like pretty much for a majority of like the whole year, you pretty much all in-home, all like internet leads, just like the basics, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And then before, what were you spending on leads?
I was like when I first started, I mean, maybe like 750, $1,000 a week.
And then how much were you submitting?
I mean, at week, I'd probably say maybe like 4K, 5K.
Okay.
And then I upped the spend, I'd say probably like month 3 or 4, once I like actually started seeing some profits and like putting it back into the business. I'd say I jumped that up from like 1,000 a week to like 2,000 a week, 2,500. And then after that, I mean, it was always like
It was like
eight.
clockwork.
Yeah, I was like 8 to 12K a week. Wiley would always tell me like 10K a week or die.
Yeah, that's the standard, right?
Yep.
And then you like crushed it and you would like run like we would have a competition, like who could run the most appointments in a week and stuff like that. And you would like run like 30, 40, 50 appointments in a week, some absurd amount of appointments. And then that kind of transitioned into submitting a lot of like not super high premium, but like just a lot, right? Like a
Yeah.
bunch of apps.
So yeah, for some reason, I don't know. It's just like me and you. I guess we got like the lowest AP in the capital as a whole. So like we gotta outwork a lot of people.
Yeah, like $30, $40 policies, like just a lot of them though. And that was just because I think just because of the lead type really, and just the number of people that you're seeing. But like, let's talk about like how you transitioned, because now you're not really running in home anymore. You're doing like a hybrid / like telesales, right?
Yeah.
And then what can you tell everybody about the transition from like all in home to the model that you're on now? Because I think that's like a really popular thing that everybody's doing now, and it's working really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like starting out in home is going to be key because you're going to be able to pretty much like master the product, master the whole structure and process. Because like say you're starting out and you want to jump right into telesales, like if someone tells you, I got to think about it, or, they don't want to give you their bank account, you're going to freak out. And if you're in the home, like most likely you would have closed them. So I think starting out in the in-home is always going to be key. And then, I mean, mainly like once you get the comfortability down and like just having your structure and being confident in yourself, I think it works out great, honestly, because like if they would have bought in person, my personal preference, like they're going to buy over the phone.
Right.
And that's just how I approach it. And obviously like to sell over the phone, you're going to need more leads, I think, in my opinion, because instead of being on the phone 2 times a week, you're going to be on the phone 5 to 6 days a week. So you are going to have to spend more.
What's your schedule for in-home, and then what's your schedule for virtual?
Yeah. So for in-home, I mean, Monday, Thursday, non-negotiables, dial day.
Yeah.
I mean, on the phone from 8 a.m. Some people start at 7:30, but I don't know. I thought 8 a.m. was always good for me. So that's when I would start. And then I'd be on the phone, no matter if it was 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 6, 7 p.m. until I got again, we had to outwork everybody. So I wasn't booking 15 appointments. I'd go until like 20, 25 appointments. So,
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what it took, I mean, I literally would just be sitting here dialing every single day, all day, maybe take like a 20-minute lunch break, and I'd go right back to it.
And then for virtual, that's just like every single day, 8 to like 8, basically.
Pretty much. I think telesales, I've been starting around like 8:39.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just something weird about people I don't know. They're weird about starting at 8 a.m., but 8:39 I figured was my sweet spot. If they're going to be awake, they're going to answer. If not, I mean, you can always circle back on them later.
Cool.
And then
beforehand, we were all using phone burner where we were just power dialing everybody. That's like $140 a month. And we just throw our leads in there, power dial, And then now we like transition to like Ringy with Brian Holden's system. And then it's less dials, but we like, you send out all the texts and then they call you, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like whenever I ran in home, like everyone was using phone burn and all this, but like, dude, I just dialed on my phone, bro. And people are like, oh, how are you down it? It's like, dude, on my phone. Like
Yeah.
I literally, like with the iPhone, if you hit the phone button on the thing, it'll just pull their number up again, or you can hit their name. And I would do that 3 times in a row until I had to. But just within the last 2 weeks, like I started using Ringy, and bro, I probably had about like 800 old leads just from last month, and I literally just threw them all in there, sent out a text, and then it drips on them for 4 days.
Mhm.
And dude, what I loved about it is like on the last day, I probably got like 40 calls that day. They literally, the message would say like, hey, this is the last time reaching out, or you're disqualified from the benefits. And bro, people were just, I was sitting there trying to close it, and my phone would just nonstop ring, ring, ring.
I like
And
that.
I think it's pretty cool because like your initial text, you customize it, and like it's saying it's for final expense and life insurance program. So it's not like, a bait and switch or something. If they're going to answer, they'll answer. And
Mhm.
if not, they'll just tell you to stop texting or whatever.
That's cool. So you're kind of really digging the telesales thing then, huh?
Dude, I'm liking it, bro. Cause like you saw me, bro. I'd run 40, 50 appointments a week. And that doesn't mean I'm sitting with 40, 50 people. I mean, realistically, we'd probably sit with maybe like 30 of them. Things come up,
80.
people forget,
Yeah.
whatever, or reschedules. And I'm not driving all over the place because, like, again, I'd run maybe like an hour, hour and a half away sometimes. And, that's time. And then, like, in between appointments and stuff, it's like, dude, if no one picks up the phone, I'll just call the next lead.
Yeah.
And I feel like that saves a lot of time, saves gas, and it's just going straight to the point, honestly.
That's pretty cool. And schedule is like pretty much key here, but let's jump right into the in-home. Cause I think you have like a really good in-home, like you are really straightforward and to the point and like nonchalant about everything. There's no like, hey, but we have to do, bait and switch type stuff. So let's do the in-home process, or first let's do the setting the appointment process. Cause you're like really straightforward at that. Then we'll do the in-home and then we'll do the telesales call to close.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'll be the client and you call me.
Okay. So ring.
Hello?
Hey, Calvin.
Yeah.
Hey, Calvin, it's Nasser. I'm just calling you from the benefits office right here in Bexar County. We got the request you submitted for the Texas Final Expense and Life programs. You put your age as 55. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I didn't do that.
No worries. You could have forgot. I usually don't remember I eat for breakfast most days. We are a little backed up ever since Christmas and the New Year's, so we're slowly catching up. But you are 56, right?
Yeah, I'm 56, but I already have life insurance.
Oh, perfect. I mean, that's probably why I'm calling. Your file in our system is just flagged as incompleted. So they just require me to go out there and make sure everything's all good in that. Now, Calvin, are you still working, or are you retired or disabled?
I'm disabled.
Bless your heart. You more of a morning or afternoon person?
Afternoon.
Okay. So I'm all booked up in the afternoon today, Calvin. But tomorrow, I think I can probably squeeze you in around like 1 to 2 o'clock. Does that give you enough time to get up and everything?
Yeah, but what's this for again?
So we're just doing a policy review for you as the local manager. Your file is just flagged in our system. They just have me come out there and make sure everything's in good standing. Should only take about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then your file's still the same on file. Your address is still the same on file, the 123 Main Street.
Yeah, that's my
Good
address.
deal. Okay. Can you go grab a paper and a pen, Calvin?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay. Go ahead and write down my name. So it's Nasser. That's N as in Nancy, ASSER, my state license number, and then tomorrow, the 14th, anywhere from 1 to 2 o'clock. And then do you have me to park in the driveway or the street?
The street.
Good deal. All right, Calvin. Well, I'm a shorter, younger looking gentleman. I'm about 5'8". Just be on the lookout. I got a pretty fat head and a big belly. I'll be hard to miss. Okay.
Okay.
Click. And then just straight to the point. I mean, you're looking at their file. You just confirm their age. And like, dude, they sent in a request. It might have not been yesterday. It might have not been last week, but there was a point when they sent that request in. And then it's just straight to the point. Whatever objection they give, like I literally just agree with them. Like I already got it. Oh, perfect. That's why I'm calling. I'm not interested. Perfect. That's why I'm calling. Like whatever they say, it's perfect. That's why I'm calling. And then tying them down is key because like when I first started, dude, I remember it was New Year's. I ran like I literally got no showed maybe like 15 times in a row. I called Wiley and I was like, yo, dude, like, what's up with these leads? Am I doing something wrong? And he was like, are you tying them down? And I was like, well, no, not really. I'm just, telling them like, is there any reason why you wouldn't be there? But when someone writes something down, they're more than likely to remember it. I don't know the statistic exactly, but so I always have them write it down. And then, dude, I don't know. Whenever I tell people that big head, big belly, like they usually laugh. And like whenever I get there, like, oh, your head's not that big, or you don't have that. I was expecting a balloon or something like that. And I think that works pretty good.
That's legit. I like that. And that seems to always work for the most part. I mean, you're still going to get some no-shows, obviously, because it's part of the game, but like that little personal touch at the end where you're like describing yourself, they get a little chuckle and then they're like, okay, see you then. And then you show up and then they're like, oh yeah. And then it like kind of you like painted a picture in their head, right?
Exactly.
Cool. I like that. And then now transitioning into the home, you're at the front door, like boom, boom, boom. I answer the door. Hello.
Hey, I'm here for our appointment.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of busy right now.
No worries. This should only take 5-10 minutes. I'll be right out. I'm a little behind on schedule anyway. You want me to keep my shoes on or take them off?
You can keep them on.
Good deal. And then I walk in, usually like, there's a couch, so I'll try to sit there. I'm like, no, like I need the kitchen table. And like, I'll just point that way, sort of already take control right off the beginning. Okay. I get to the table and then, I don't show my license or anything until like after this part. So straight up like, hey, Calvin, so was your main concern, like most families, when you sent this request in, you just want to make sure, God forbid, when something happens to you, that your burial cremation doesn't fall burden on your family?
Yeah, I guess so.
Got it. That's why most people send these in. And then, so this right here is my state license. I was born and raised here in Texas. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. My whole family's over here. This right here is the credibility sheet, list of all the A-rated carriers that we're contracted with. And you probably recognize some of them or seen them on TV. And we specialize in a few things like mortgage protection, final expense programs, life insurance, and future income planning. Today, we're here for the Texas final expense programs.
Okay. Yeah, I just think I just need to make sure I don't leave a burden. I want to be buried.
Absolutely. And then, so right here, this right here is the client suitability sheet. This right here is just going to help me best guide how to serve you and your family in the best possible way. Okay. So we're going to spend about a minute or so on yourself and financial situation. That will make sure everything is affordable and within the budget. And typically we don't have a problem with that because these programs are designed for people on a fixed and low income.
Okay.
And then we're going to spend about 2 minutes on your health, Calvin. That's just going to help me navigate which one of these carriers is most likely going to give you the approval today. Because some of them are more strict than others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. Now, God forbid, if you were to pass away tomorrow, Calvin, who's going to be the beneficiary picking up the pieces?
Probably my son.
Okay. And his name?
His name is Chris.
Okay. And then you said you do plan on having a burial, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be cremated.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. Now, Calvin, do you know how much a burial costs in the state of Texas?
I don't.
Okay. So depending on the fanciness, I mean, the casket, the opening and closing, where you do it at, on average, it's anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. Now, do you or Chris have $10,000 to $20,000 saved up to offset that cost?
No, I just flipped check to check on my disability.
Nah, me and you both, and probably 95% of the other people I'm talking with. Now, Calvin, do you have any type of life insurance that's going to offset the cost of your burial?
I thought my son had one for me.
Okay. Are you paying for it?
No, I'm not paying for anything right now.
You have a policy?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
So it seems to me that you don't have any type of insurance, right?
Yeah, I just assumed he had something on me or something like that.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I'm not paying for nothing.
Okay. Well, to take out a policy, I mean, he would need your consent and, your knowledge. So did he ever say he got it out on you? You had to give your social to anybody?
No.
Okay. So you most likely don't have insurance, Calvin. What's the main reason you never got any insurance? Was it just affordability, eligibility, or you just never really got to it and procrastinating?
Procrastinating.
Okay. Well, that never helped anybody. Now, okay. Well, Calvin, that's why most families get these in. Last thing they want to do is just leave the burden on their family. It seems like that's why I'm here today, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some prices.
Absolutely. The good thing about, being an underwriter with the state is we are able to find you the most discounted ones and what would most likely give you the approval today. Okay.
Okay.
And then, I'll just go into their income,
Okay,
health,
let's do it.
and boom.
Let's do the whole thing.
Okay. So Calvin, boom, 57, your birthday.
12/10/19 57.
Okay. And then, so you said you're disabled, right?
Yeah, SSDI.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you bank locally or do you use Direct Express?
I bank locally.
Okay. And then about how much do you get a month from the disability?
$897.
Okay. And then do you rent here, right?
Yeah.
How much does that cost you?
That's about 400.
Okay, got it. Now a little bit on the health side, Calvin. Do you smoke or no?
No, I don't smoke.
Good. Any heart attacks, strokes, cancers in the last few years?
I had a stroke like 5 years ago.
Okay. Are you taking any medicine for it?
I was on blood thinners, but they took me off of them.
Okay. Has that been over a year?
Yeah.
Okay. Any blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes?
Yeah, I have lisinopril, metformin, and avorvastatin, and I have this one called flumarizide or something like that, and I have
Furosemide?
yeah, and then I just have some they give me some ibuprofen or something like that for some little bit of pain.
Okay. So you just got blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and some pain going on?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Is that all that's been prescribed over the last few years?
Yeah, for the most part. Yep.
Okay. And then a rough estimate on your height and weight?
5'9", 185.
Okay. And then any hospitalizations in the last year or two?
No. Mm-mm.
Good deal. Thank God. Okay. Well, I'm going to punch all this into a system real quick, Calvin, and it's going to see which one would most likely give you the approval for the lowest rate today. Okay.
Okay.
Take a minute. Boom, boom. Type everything in.
Okay.
And then I'm going to flip my sheet of paper.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll, immediate, permanent, tax-free, locked in, cash value, living benefit, which is a terminal illness rider, double accidental indemnity. I'll write that all on a sheet of paper on the
Okay.
back of the sheet. And then, okay, so Calvin, like this coverage, so have you ever applied for any type of coverage like this?
No, I was just really trying to get some prices.
Okay. So with this coverage, it's not like when you go to the grocery store, you see something, you want it, you buy it. With this coverage, you kind of have to apply for it.
Okay.
So even though if you want to think about it, the carrier still got to think about if they want to, qualify you, give you coverage. So what that means, they'll check the Medical Information Bureau. That's your compilation of your medical history, such as prescriptions, hospitalizations, medical records over the last several years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this doesn't mean we're going to get you approved just by show you these, because like we still have to see, what all you qualify for and submit an application. Then we'll know today.
Okay.
You do want a burial, so we'll write 10, 15, and then I'll show a max of like 40 if you want to leave it behind. Now, coverage wise, you're just wanting to focus on the burial. You want to leave Chris any extra money?
I just want to focus on the burial.
Okay, got it. So that's what this bottom one right here is. So we got 10,000 natural causes, 20,000 accident, which is a car accident, slip and fall, hit your head, choke, drown, anything that's not natural, it's going to automatically double it. And then if you get a terminal illness, you can use 50% of that tax free while you're still living.
Okay.
That one only comes up to about $34.99. And then the second option, 15 natural, 30 accident with the living benefit, $56. That one right there is going to cover your burial. Factor in inflation a little bit and possibly leave Chris a couple grand. And then this one right here, that's the max you'd qualify for, 40 natural, 80 accident with the living benefit. It's going to be $130. And I don't always recommend this for everybody, but just so you know what all is out there for you, that'll cover your burial, leave up to 30,000 behind for Chris. For your situation, I'm not going to recommend that 30,000, Calvin, but I mean, a factor in inflation and everything, I am going to recommend the 15,000. 10 years ago, a burial wasn't even, $5,000.
Okay.
But with inflation, everything is slowly going up. But out of these two, Calvin, if we were able to get the approval for you, which one makes the most financial sense for you?
Probably the middle one.
Okay. So the next step, Calvin, is we do have to see if you can get approved. Can you go grab your ID or driver's license and we'll start that process?
Yeah, here's my ID. I just don't have any money today.
Okay. Hey, no worries, Calvin. I'd say probably 80% of people say that. We can set it for your next social security billing.
Mhm.
That way, you don't have to worry about that today. I'm not here to take any money. Okay.
Okay. And then a couple objections I want to throw at you. I don't feel comfortable giving my bank information out.
Hey, no, absolutely, Calvin. I'm the same way. But I mean, you are applying for coverage. It's just like car insurance, health insurance. But I mean, they are going to have to see that you do have a financial institution and that you are serious about getting the coverage.
Hmm.
Is how else were you going to pay for it?
Right.
That
I
makes
kind
sense.
of think about it.
Okay. Now, Calvin, what all do you want to think about? Just sort of like the price between the two of them.
I just don't know if, I need it.
Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit, Calvin. You don't have any type of life insurance. You don't have any money saved up. So like the whole reason I'm sitting here right now is because you told me that, when something happens to you, not if, when something happens to you, that you want your burial covered so Chris doesn't have to come out of pocket, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So thinking about it isn't really going to do much for you. So what I would recommend doing, we just start with this bottom one, get your foot in the door, make sure you get approved. God forbid something happens to you, you do have something in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And your routing and account number?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm about to buy some insurance. That's awesome. That's good stuff. I think once you do it like Nasser does it, like in the beginning and setting that structure, you probably won't get very many of those objections. It's really rare that I even get some of those. And just for example, like literally on Saturday, this dude's like, I'm not giving you my bank information like 15 times the whole appointment. And then I get to the bank information of the app and I'm like, hey, so I need you to go grab your routing and account number. I got to confirm with you in the file. They won't let me read it all out loud to you. And then I'm like, all right, so they're only gonna let me read the routing number first. So look at yours. And I was like, hey, so it's like, I Googled it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's like, I was like, that's correct, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. I can only see the last couple of the account numbers. So can you read it out for me so I can unlock it and view it? And he read the whole thing off. And I was like, okay, sick.
All right. But now, like you said, I think the main thing in the in-home is like, dude, most importantly, like get the why right in the beginning. I learned that pretty early on because if there's no why, there's no buy. And then just having the structure, telling them exactly what you guys are going to do today. Because like you see, I tell Marina, spend a minute on yourself, financial situation. So like price is never going to be a problem. I know what's coming in, what's coming out. 2 minutes on your health, you're going to help me see what's going to get you approved today.
Gotcha.
So it's like, nah, I want to shop around, none of this. It's like, baby, not all the carriers are going to qualify you,
Yeah. And then so you sell the guy. Are you leaving anything with him when you're leaving the house?
Yeah. So maybe like 4 months ago, Michael Herman was on a team call. There's like this coverage information worksheet.
Mhm.
I can probably post it in Slack or something, but I leave that. It's pretty much got my name, my number, the company name, their policy number, the
Mhm.
premium, what's coming out, the benefits, what the coverage is, what it's for. And I
Mhm.
write all the benefits like that I did on the back of the sheet. And I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, put this in a safe storage spot. You'll get your policy in the mail in the next 7 to 10 days. I want you to put this in a different place than the policy. That way, if
Mhm.
you lose one, you got the other.
Cool. I like it.
And then I make sure, they save my number in their phone. I take a picture with them, the whole 9 yards.
You take a picture with him every time?
Every time, unless
Right.
they're like bedridden.
I like it. And then, are you sending anything as a follow-up? Like
No.
in the mail? No. They're like, hey, you're gonna get your policy in 2 weeks, put that somewhere safe and I'll follow up with you in a year.
Yeah. If you ever need anything, I'm a phone call or text away.
Okay, cool. And then now let's talk about the telesales, which I think everybody is really interested in. So I'll be the client, you call me and sell me over the phone.
Absolutely.
Or
So
or do I call you? How do you do it?
no, so mainly I've been calling them, and then
Okay.
like unless it's ringy, but lately I've been running some Facebook leads, and like it has some pretty qualifying questions, whether it's ask like coverage type, hobby, and stuff like that, just
Okay.
to sort of help identify it. So I'll call you. Hey, Calvin,
Yeah.
Hey, Calvin, it's Nasser. I'm just calling you from the benefits office right here in Kentucky. We
Yeah.
did receive the request you sent in a couple of days ago for the Kentucky discounted final expense programs. It looks like you listed your birthday as 1/15/1965. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I already have that.
Oh, perfect, Calvin. We just got this request in, so I just got to go over this with you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you put your favorite hobby is hunting, and it looks like you wanted a burial covered. Is that correct?
Yeah, I want to get buried.
Okay. And it looks like you have your spouse listed, or yeah, spouse listed as your beneficiary.
Yeah, what was this for again?
So this was the request you sent in on Facebook for the
Mhm.
Kentucky discounted final expense programs. So Calvin, most people send this request in. They just want to make sure, God forbid, when something happens to them, that their burial doesn't fall burden on anyone in their family. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, I was just trying to get some prices because I couldn't see anything online.
Okay. So yeah, that's why they assign an underwriter like myself to your file, because it's not like a one fit plan for everybody. That's why we have to go over an eligibility and see what all you do qualify for the discounted programs. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Calvin, do you receive text messages on this phone?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and send you a picture of my state license. Let me know when you receive that. On the bottom left, it's going to have my Kentucky DOI identification number. That's my Department of Insurance identification number. You'd be able to look me up on the kentucky.insurance.gov website, punch that in there, and know that I am a licensed and active professional here in Kentucky. And then there's a picture of my badge on the right side. That way you know what I look like.
Okay, I got it. I see what you're saying.
Good deal. So Calvin, what I'm looking at right here in front of me is the client suitability sheet. This is just going to help me best guide how to serve you and your family. And then literally right into the same in home.
The same in home. No
Same.
change.
No changes whatsoever.
All right, so I pick one. I give you the same, like exactly the same. There's no change to the in home.
Not a single change.
Okay, cool. So I pick a price, like, or no, let's say you give me some prices, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the information.
It's like yeah, so like the next step, Calvin, is to see what we can, get you qualified for. Which
Okay.
option you want to go with?
Well, I definitely can't pay enough for nothing today. But I probably could afford the $50 one.
Okay. But yeah, no worries, Calvin. My job today is not to take any money, but it's to submit an application, make sure you can get approval. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start that application process. And then you said your first name was Calvin B, right? Birthday is, 1/15/65, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just going to the application.
Okay, cool. So we're in the application. What's the biggest objection that you get in the application?
So I mean, I try to set it up to where I feel like if they go through the whole presentation and I mean they pick a price, usually it goes good 90% of the time.
Mhm.
I think one key that I've noticed, so like on the America application, for example, you got their first name, middle name, last name, male, female, height. So I'll ask that. And then I'll jump down to like, hey, what state were you born in?
Okay.
And
I
then
like
I'll say,
that too.
what city? And then I'll act like I'm punching something in, even though there's no city question. And
Yeah.
then I'm okay. Obviously, you're a U.S. citizen. They'll usually laugh, and they'll be like, "All right," and your social. And then I just usually no objections whatsoever on that.
Yeah, I feel like it's rare to get social security objections. What about like, so I'm in we're past beneficiary, like we're like straight up in the banking. I think that's probably where people mostly get hung up. I'm just
Yeah.
guessing. Like I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable giving my bank information over the phone. There's a lot of scams going on.
Hey, no worries. I mean, that's why I'm required to send you my state license. That way, if I cause any harm, you can report me to the Kentucky Department of Insurance, and I can risk losing my license. And I don't want to do that. I enjoy what I do. And then I just go right into it. I'll be like, all right, in the name of your financial institution.
Do you
And then
tee them up like Brian, like everybody else does? Like, hey, and who do you bank with? And you Google the routing number, and then you're like, hey, read it off.
yeah, so I'm like, hey, can you go grab your checkbook or something where you can verify the routing number we have in our system? They'll be like, okay, second. Then it'll be like 08300, whatever. Like, yeah, that's right. Kind of and your account number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Works
7.
like butter.
Got it. Cool. I like it. Anything that you want to like leave anything like for people that are like either thinking about making a transition for that or that are already in that stage, like some things to make sure you hit your numbers and you're not just like dilly-dallying around.
Yeah. So, I mean, for telesales, like you're definitely gonna have to invest more, unless, I mean, you got a whole bunch of old leads where you can just throw them in Turingi, which I mean, it's good. We all got old leads. We're constantly buying new ones every day. But I would definitely recommend getting into some Facebook, just because I mean, in my opinion, it's like a high intent, sort of like a final expense mailer, but like a third or fourth of the price.
Cool.
And obviously, not everyone's going to be ready to buy or wanting it, but it's still higher intent. It's not like no bait and switch. But I mean, I'd recommend that, and then just having the numbers in your favor. Like if Facebook wise, I mean, I'd recommend sending out at least 50 a day.
And then I'm gonna open it up for questions for everybody. If you have any questions for Nasser, this would be a good time to unmute yourself and ask, because he's full of lots of good information. There you go.
So when they try to tell you what you say you do, when they try to tell you I don't give your bank information, you just tell them to go ahead anyway and get the account number? Or
So if they don't want to give you the banking information, it's usually because they don't trust you. So like you have to take a step back and be like, look, that's why I'm required to send you a state license. And you can look that up on the kentucky.insurance.gov website, punch my state license number in there. And then if I cause any harm in any shape or form, you can report to the Department of Insurance website. And I can that license. But to get this coverage, like, I am going to need your financial institution. So like you already got the bank name, and then just look up the routing number, whatever city they're in. It's just like, okay, are you ready to verify the routing number? I have it.
Okay.
I think a good thing to ask too is be like, hey, where did you open the bank at? What city and state?
Yeah.
Because wherever they open the bank account is wherever the routing number is going to be. So like, I opened the bank in San Antonio, Texas, and and it was Bank of America. Bank of America routing number, San Antonio, Texas, and it's the first thing that pops up.
It's right, probably like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody else gonna ask any questions, or can I ask you another one?
Hit him with another one.
So tonight I may have a CBO. So what would you recommend finishing it? Like, okay, so I got him. I just had a follow-up appointment. He needs to speak with his wife because he was at work, and I told him that we should have her there as well. How would you finish that?
So I mean, if he knows what it's for, if it's a husband and wife, always try and get them together. Like if not, whatever, but definitely go into it and then just explain the whole product. It's a savings account on life insurance, and just reiterate what you guys went through and explain why, you guys were going to do it in the first place. Like he wanted to have this in place to make sure, his burial and you're taken care of when he passes away. So this is what we're looking at, and then just, go right into the application and maybe see if she needs some coverage as well.
I think she does.
You got anything to add to that, Calvin?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it on that one. I don't do a whole lot of CBOs just because I don't like them that much, but I try to stick with whole life most of the time.
So are they super meticulous with CBOs?
It's the same underwriting as any of the HMS products. It's all the same underwriting.
They gotta be pretty much.
I say 5 meds or less. 3 to 5 meds or less is kind of my rule of thumb.
Okay, so if that doesn't work, then maybe an IUL.
It's gonna be the same underwriting.
Same underwriting.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions?
You all got one.
What's up, Dario?
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Hey, just real quick, Mamu. Writing the kind of business that you write, getting to basically like Hall of Fame status. Like, so, what's the different lead mixes that you're using? Are you running 50-50 in-home and virtual, and are you using like Ringy phone burner when you're making these calls?
So last year when I hit Hall of Fame, it was straight up hand dials. It was a good mix of everything. I mean, mail, internet, Facebook, really. But I mean, starting off the year, I mean, I dropped a lot of mail. I've been running probably, I'd say like a majority Facebook, and then like the fresh one, closing. which I'm just dialing
Matthew,
in.
you gotta mute your phone real quick, brother. Matthew,
got it.
you gotta mute your phone.
I got it.
All right. So yeah, ever since the beginning of the year, I was like, yeah, mail was getting too ridiculous price wise. Like I was not messing with it. So like I, pretty much forced myself. I dropped it on. Like I didn't have a choice but to find another way to replace it. So like I've been doing Facebook, I'd say a majority of the time. And then I've been mainly doing telesales, really. Like I'll go out in the field, with the new guy or, once or twice a week just to refresh things up. But with the brand new Facebook, like I'm call to close and just hand dialing them all. And then like all my leads from January, I threw them in a ringy the other day. And it was like I was completely new to it. Brian Holden was, he's goated for just sitting there, taking 10, 20 minutes explaining it. He always does those Zoom calls. And the people at Ringy are pretty helpful setting it up. But yeah, I uploaded my old leads into there, drip texted them for like 4 or 5 days. Probably sold like 10, 15 policies just off that alone. And then like all the others, I'm literally just hand dialing and call to closing.
I like it.
I have a question.
Shoot. Yeah.
What was my question? Oh, so tomorrow I have a Zoom call with Ringy because that's funny that you're talking about it because I have a call scheduled with them and I was curious to know, like, did you ever have, what was the other one? The phone burner. Did you ever have that one? And do you like the Ringy one better? Because I've kind of heard mixed things about it. Like, which one would you recommend?
I've had both. I think they both have their good. They each have their own perks and downfalls. Ringy is good for texting, sending out stuff, and getting calls to come in. Their power dialer kind of sucks. Phone burner has a really good power dialer, but their texting service and all their other features sucks. So it's like, if you want to make a lot of outbound calls, phone burner is better in my opinion, but it's way more expensive. Ringy is better, definitely better for the texting services and the drip campaigns and like the functionality of the actual like features they have, I think is a little more in depth. It's more customizable, where phone burner is like kind of like, this is what you get.
I've never used, I've never used phone burner personally, but I mean, from what I've seen off Ringy, like that's pretty neat, honest, where you can send out by the hit of a button, you send out a message to 200 people. I thought that was pretty game changer. And another cool feature is like doing this like tellies, like I'm trying to get into like different states too, like different time zones. You can buy another state's phone number for literally $1 a month, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, phone burners is $5 a month per phone number.
Okay, thank you guys.
You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions for
When
Nash?
you're running another, yeah, I got one. When you're running other states, and you're doing telesales, are you saying that you're from like if you're like in Texas and you're calling Colorado, like, are you saying like, I'm from the Denver benefits office? Or what are you doing with that? And if someone asks, like, are you local, or are you like, what are you saying to all that?
Now, usually, honestly, like I don't know. Maybe the demographic's different. I'm usually not getting like, hey, are you local right here? Like when I call them, it's just like, I'm not designated to a specific county. It's just like, hey, I'm calling you from the benefits office right here in Colorado. Like the entire state.
All right.
And I usually don't get that. Are you local or whatever? If I'm down in Kentucky, I'll tell them like, hey, I'm right here in Lexington, Kentucky. But in other state, I don't really say anything.
Okay.
I only got that when I was brand new a few times, and people be like, oh, where you located or whatever. And someone told me to say, oh, next to the Sonic, because there's like a Sonic in every town. And ever since then, I've just always said that, and it works.
I used to always say downtown whenever someone would ask me, but where's your benefits office? I'm just right here in downtown.
Courthouse.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So do you kind of like free ball how you do your tie downs, or is it always the same thing, or do you fill the people out and then if they're acting kind of funny, do you use it like a different tie down, or it's always the same thing?
By tie down, you mean like just like describing myself, or just having them write it down and everything?
Writing it down, all that, just to kind of get them so that way they don't no show you when you show up to the house.
So I mean, yeah, the tie down's always going to be the same. I mean, if they laugh or not. I mean, I've heard people be like completely rude on the phone, and I tell them to tie down, they'll laugh. Some people just say okay, literally with the blank face, and I feel kind of dumb. But I mean, I threw it out there. It's whatever. But I usually keep it the same. As long as, they write down your appointment, they know you're coming, I think that's all that matters.
Painting the
Thank
picture,
you.
paint the picture for them. If you're thinking about it, like how would you want to remember something, like make it visual for them, because that's gonna stick with them. The piece of paper is gonna be great, for their own reference, but like make them visualize like how you're gonna show up.
Hey,
Thanks,
I got
guys.
one.
Yeah, get it.
So when you're doing telesales too, like if someone's like, "Hey, I can't talk right now, or I'm busy," are you setting appointments, or how you doing all that?
Yeah. So like from my experience, honestly, when they tell me to call me later, I mean, I'll just make note of it. But if I set an appointment with them, I'll have them write it down and whatnot. But I mean, from my experience with telesales, like the ones that buy are the ones like you're just called to closing. But like if they absolutely can't, I'll have them write it down, or I'll shoot them a text with it. And if they answer at the time. If not, I mean, there's another day. Ringio sneaked up on him.
Okay, so you just drip on them. You don't like keep trying to follow up and call them.
No, because at that point, in my opinion, you just look desperate. So like, I want them to feel like, I'm flooded with requests. Like you need me more than you.
Gotcha.
Cool. Anybody else got any questions before we wrap this up?
I got one.